Tuesday at 2. This is a Green Chamber meeting. The Green Chamber, I should say the North Florida Green Chamber of Commerce. Our mission is to make it cool and convenient to be green. So being cool means we want green and sustainable to be valued in our community. We want the choices of business owners when they make a choice to be sustainable or green. We want the community to value that. And it's our job to help provide tools and help spur the community to think that way. We also want to make it convenient to be green, which means we see it as our job to provide ease for businesses to actually become green. So making it easy by providing toolkits or programs or events or material education resources, making things available for businesses to actually be green. Our Tuesdays at 2 are a weekly meeting. So we meet once a week on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. It's a 30-minute meeting, very quick, and we like to discuss or bring on speakers that are either local speakers or businesses that are local with an issue that is either local or something that we feel we want the community to know about. These meetings are not meant to have all the information, but more of a way to kind of introduce the cool speaker or the cool topic to our community so that we can network and so that people can meet some of the cool speakers and start addressing some of the topics that we find important. So with that, we have a very special one today. With it being the beginning of the year, everybody's thinking of New Year's resolutions and goal planning. So we have the 2 of our Green Chamber sustainability coaches on today. And if you don't know about our sustainable coaching program, through the Green Chamber, if you become a member of the Green Chamber, part of our way of making it convenient for businesses to be green is we actually connect them with a sustainability coach when they join the Green Chamber. So that's a resource that we provide, and we've already had several businesses take advantage of it, and it's become a really good program that the Green Chamber offers. So our coaches today are going to talk to us about a few tips and goals and how do you actually start getting your business green. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we do that, a few rules and structure of today's Tuesday at 2. If everybody could mute your screens, please. Either raise your hand on the video or on an icon on your chat box. And if you would like to speak, just try to get our attention with one of the raised hands. And at the end, we will have a discussion period where we can talk and discuss the topic of the day. It's also a chance for you to talk to the speakers and ask the speakers some questions. I also forgot to mention that this is being recorded, and if you have any comments or questions about the recording, you can reach out to me at North Florida Green Chamber at Gmail, and we can talk about it. But this is going to be put on our new YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. And you can find our YouTube channel on our website, and we're replaying on our YouTube channel. You can go back and rewatch our past topics and some of our Tuesdays at 2. So if you miss anything today and you want to go back and check it out, check back to our YouTube channel. We're going to do a quick little icebreaker. Part of this meeting is not only to get great information, but to meet others in the community who value green or sustainable topics. So we use this as a chance to network, and the way that we're going to do that today is with this little icebreaker where everybody, if you could please put your name into the chat box. Put as much contact information as you feel comfortable, whether it's a phone number, an email address, or just a website, or maybe it's just your title at what you do. Put it in the chat box and share it with everybody, please. And at the end, everybody can remember to save their chat or copy and paste it. And that way you can follow up with anybody that you want to after the discussion. And we do highly encourage that. And I'm going to give it, let's see what time it is. I'm going to give everybody 1 minute to fill that out and put it in the chat box. Great, I see some good ones coming in, thank you. Okay, it looks like we have almost everybody in the chat. So I'm going to move on. And with that, I think we're going to jump right into our topic. Let's see. Yep. So I'm going to we have two speakers today instead of one. So it's great. We get two for the price of one. Two of our coaches, and I'm going to let each of them do their own introduction just for the interest of time. But I will say that we have Ashley Powell and Mary Tappouni, both founding members of the Green Chamber, and Mary Tappouni is the chair of our board. So we're very, very lucky to have both of you. You're both amazing, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. So Mary, I'm going to have you go first.
Great. Thank you, Chris, and welcome everyone. I'm Mary Tappouni, and I'm with my sustainability officer, which is a consulting arm of Breaking Ground Contracting. And so I'm going to cover more sort of process of sustainability goal setting for your business, and also these will apply to you whether you work at home or you work for a large company. And I really want to make sure I give enough time for Ashley too to talk about. I know she's going to get into some more specifics about things that you can do immediately. And I know people are really always interested in hearing those examples. So I'm going to talk probably faster than I should, but I want to make sure I get through all of this. So I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff on my screen here real quick. All right, so what I've done is kind of broken this up for you. So the first screen is tips for those of you who are really just getting started. You want to set some, goals for improving sustainability at work. And again, these also apply for at home. And then the next slide you're going to see is for those of you who maybe already have some plans in place or are a little bit more advanced, or you're trying to get back to those goals that you set originally. And then we'll have a quick summary at the end. And as I mentioned, Ashley's going to get into some more sort of specifics, but I will touch on some of those as we go through the process part of this. So the first and most important thing always is creating a plan. Sometimes you might think you're doing some things, but you haven't really formalized it. So as sustainability coaches, I know that's one of the first things we want to help you with is kind of setting a plan in place. And it doesn't matter how small or how complex that plan is. What you want to do is you want to assess what you're trying to achieve, define it, and prioritize it. So by defining it, what's your why, your what's important to you? For example, is climate change something that's top of mind for you? You want to maybe look at emissions reduction reporting, and how do we do that? How do we reduce emissions in our businesses? The other thing you might be looking at, keeping in mind that as the Green Chamber and other organizations that Ashley and I belong to, like the U.S. Green Building Council and other organizations, we're always talking about triple bottom line, people, profit, planet, just the simplest way to put it. So thinking about those goals in that plan, encompassing those three things as much as you can, but to be honest, not everybody is thinking about all three of those things. An example is you might just right now be trying to hang on, and you really want to look for ways to save money in your business. So we would really look at ways to help you reduce your energy usage, your water usage, things like that, that ultimately also do have a positive impact on the environment and people, but not necessarily those being your top priorities. So keep those things in mind. The next thing is to set measurable goals and targets. So measurable meaning by year 2020 or 2021 now, I want to reduce the amount of waste I have in my business. And then defining what waste is in your company. And obviously it's different for different groups. And setting targets, so really thinking about dates, putting those dates with it. Might be 6-month shorter term targets, and then you have longer term goals as well. So make sure they're measurable and there's something that you come back to and you evaluate that you're actually meeting some interim timelines so you can really achieve the things that you set out to do. Engagement is critically important, and engagement can be like I said, if you're working at home in your home office and it's you, obviously engagement can be a little easier because you're already motivated. But don't think that it's any less important than engagement with 1,000 employees working remotely in different parts of the country. So we really want to think about engagement, and by that meaning you could do challenges, you can do incentives. Examples that we've done before are incentives to help our employees think more sustainably in their personal choices when they're purchasing vehicles or things for their home. So think about how you engage, and that's something, again, that we try to help our clients with, large or small. And then put it into action. You've got to come up with, what does that look like? Is that a grassroots thing in the company? Is it top down? What does that action look like, and who's responsible for it? And then communication, constantly communicating internally, also externally, maybe to your clients, to the community, the broader community. And that communication can be written, verbal, both, can also include marketing plans, promotions, and reports, formal reports inside your organization. All right, Chris, you can go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So if you are an existing, already have some goals set up, and you want to really think about, okay, what do I do to take next steps? If you're an organization who's already started, either formally or informally, you want to review what you've got and then reevaluate that existing plan. So really think about, have you met some goals, and do we need to then update those or set some new goals and targets? And I will say that plans are not just your overarching plan, but a lot of times we also work with clients to put other policies and processes and other plans in place. So for example, you may have underneath your overall plan, you may have travel plans, encouraging your employees or mandating your employees use things like green lodging for their hotels, using car rental companies who allow you to do carbon offsets. I mean, getting into those details and plans, also like procurement policies, where do you buy your office supplies from, those sorts of things. Where do you get your technology products from? And are those sustainable, and what does that supply chain look like? So there can be a number of plans and processes as well. Again, update, set new goals and targets. So let's just say you met that 50% emissions reduction goal by the end of 2020. It's time to set a new goal or a new target. Or if you've got a recycling plan, for example, maybe you've only been recycling certain things in your business. Maybe you need to look at kind of taking a next step and adding additional things that maybe were a little bit more difficult to offset from your business. How can you find ways to make that happen? And then the same thing, engagement. How are you engaging? Maybe you haven't been engaging the way that you should have been or had liked to. So kind of evaluating your engagement, and then communicating, reporting. A lot of large companies have reporting requirements within their company. And again, if you're a small business, it's still a great idea for you to keep track of your own efforts. I mean, we're constantly kind of, need to reevaluate where we are and keep ourselves on track, and reporting helps with that. You can also report out to the community and let them know what you're doing. And it helps others to do these things too, when they can kind of see what someone else is doing. It gives them some motivation and something to bounce off of. And then for those of you already doing some things, stretch, meaning advance your efforts, push yourself. We all get complacent. We think, great, we're doing wonderful things. I'm guilty of that too. We put something in place and we think we've, kind of hit a home run, and it's time for us to reevaluate and say, okay, what can we do in addition, or maybe we need to go back and reevaluate and make sure we've really done all that we can do, and we're taking, the best advantage of the engagement with the community, with our employees, with our clients. All right, next, Chris.
Mary, you have about 1 to 2 minutes left.
Okay, so I do want to let you all know for the Green Chamber has some great resources. They're listed here, the Buyers Club, which will help you with procurement. And these are all things your sustainability coach will help you with. We've got our Solar Collective, which is actually open to the public. And then other chamber members are a terrific resource because they offer services to help you meet your goals. And we can talk about those a little bit more if we have time. And then of course your sustainability coach that we're here talking about today, and that can be assigned to you as a Green Chamber member. That's part of your member benefit. And then I think we're going to cover this at the end, but just a summary: achievable, measurable plan, engage and communicate, achieve, review, and reevaluate, and then access those Green Chamber benefits and members to help you achieve your goals.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll bring this back up again at the very end after we hear from Ashley. Thank you so much, Mary. That was wonderful. Ashley, you're ready to go.
Yep. All right. My name is Ashley Powell. I am the owner of Building and Green Consulting in Yulee, Florida. I started it about 8 years ago, 8 years this summer. So the main thing we actually focus on are the green buildings, third-party green building certification programs you may have heard of, for example, LEED, LEED, Green Globes, Florida Green Building Coalition. There's so many programs out there these days, but those are just 3 of the ones I kind of look at. Now, those are certification programs. Those encompass a whole, the entire building, typically for new construction, renovations, and even existing buildings. But if you want to concentrate on looking at how you can help your business or even at home, different ways to help you achieve, different sustainability goals, I'm just going to focus on a couple of the main categories that you typically see in these green building certification programs. So the first one is the site. A lot of times you're already located, your business is already located somewhere. But if you are looking at relocating somewhere, try to relocate somewhere where it's in a high density area, where you're located near transit, you're located near other services that are within in a walking distance with sidewalks, so that you have a high walkability index. Also, if you are already in a building, you're not looking at relocating, there are lots of things that you can do on your site. You can always add bike racks. Of course, that's dependent on whether or not you have residential near you or transit near you, but you can always offer bike programs if you want to have bikes available for employees, whether for rental or for free. You can look into having a bike program for your employees or your occupants. Also, a lot of vehicles these days, you see a lot more green vehicles, hybrids, electric charging vehicles. So, maybe look into getting charging stations for your parking lot. You can either have the occupants pay for the charging, or you can provide that as a service so that they're not having to pay for that. But that's always a good thing. This map there at the top, I just pulled that up yesterday. 265 charging stations in Jacksonville. Those are typically the public stations. So, and I know a couple of years ago, there were only maybe 7 to 10. So, those are constantly growing. So look into doing that, because we are getting a lot more vehicles these days. All right, next. Water usage. You'll notice, if you're in a building and you're looking to reduce your water usage, you can replace the aerators. That's probably the easiest and cheapest thing you can do on your lavatories and your break room faucets. You could also go and replace toilets, change them out to dual flush. Urinals, you can do low flow, or you can even do waterless urinals, but check with your engineers in your building first, because it's not applicable or does not actually do well in every situation. Your landscaping, try to take out as much sod as possible, try to have native plants and reduce your irrigation usage, have irrigation metering. Rain barrels, have a rain barrel on site so that you're collecting rainwater and you're able to use that water for your plants instead of your water on your building. Energy usage. There are lots of different things you can do within your building. Check with your utility companies too. If you just check their websites, they offer sometimes energy audits, different tools to help you figure out how to reduce your energy usage within your building. And also they have a lot of rebate programs. They're always changing, so definitely check the website. Sometimes they'll give it to you for changing out HVAC units and things like that. So always check when you're doing some of those energy saving things, see if you can get a rebate from your utility company. Make sure you're doing preventative maintenance, changing out light bulbs, changing everything out to LEDs. Sometimes that can be costly. So maybe as the lights burn out, change out the LEDs as they burn out. Put in programmable thermostats, change your thermostat settings. And then you could always look into solar, and again, check into your rebates on those as well. Because there are a lot of programs out there for rebates. And then you can always look into spray foam insulation. It's ideal to do it as you're building, but you can put it in retroactively after the building is done. All right, indoor air quality. So on your units, check your air filters. Make sure that you're changing those out. Again, that's preventive maintenance. Make sure you're changing those out, you know, as recommended for your manufacturers, and have more efficient filters, so you're not having as much dust laying around your office. Check the different products you're using, whether it's in your bathrooms or your cleaning supplies. Make sure that they're low VOC products. Also, if you're doing any renovations, check your paints, your sealants, your adhesives. Make sure they do have low VOCs, that they're healthier for your occupants. Try having no smoking. I mean, I think everywhere in Florida, most everyone in Florida has no smoking inside, but try to have maybe even, you know, as Mary said, sometimes push the boundary, say no smoking on campus, or if you're going to have smoking within your boundary, try to push the location a little bit farther out, where you're not having occupants that are walking by the smoking area. You know, check your humidity and temperature settings. Have different policies, and again, this is where your coaches would be able to come into play, helping you put those policies together. A green cleaning policy, indoor quality policy. If you're doing any kind of renovations, having a renovation policy so that you know what kind of products you should be using, and having those available. And then maybe put in some plants, add some indoor plants. That's a nice way to aesthetically as well, also for your indoor quality. All right, materials and resources. You know, if you're going to be changing out any of your flooring or doing any other renovations, try looking into more rapidly renewable materials for your flooring, maybe a cork flooring or a bamboo flooring. Also, you want to make sure you have a recycling program. I know recycling is constantly changing, so make sure you check with your provider that whatever you're putting in your recycle bins are being done to the proper protocols. I think one of the biggest things that I noticed people kind of mess up on is in your recycle bins. There's a good link on the recycler's website. Basically, no plastic bags. So when you're, you know, bagging your recyclables, I know sometimes when I go to the grocery store, you know, I bring my reusable bags, but sometimes I'll ask for paper bags, and I take those paper bags and I use those to line my recycle bin, so that I'm just picking up the whole paper bag with all my recyclables and putting them into the recycle bin. But they do not like any plastic bags. You can usually take those, like your grocery bags and stuff, to Publix or any of your grocery stores for recycling there. But the plastic bags always get stuck in the gears and stuff like that. I could go on and on about recycling, but I'll leave it right there. Also, hazardous waste removal. Make sure you have a policy in place for things like your batteries, or you know, any light bulbs, or you know, if you're using paints or things like that. Make sure you have a hazardous waste things in mind for how toner even. Make sure you have a policy in place for how to properly dispose of those. I know in Nassau County we have only 2 days a year that they do hazardous waste removal. But there are always ways to get around that. But again, check with your sustainability coaches on that. And And then, of course, break room materials, either do not offer disposable silverware or make sure that you offer a more sustainable product in your break rooms.
You got about 1 minute, Ashley.
Yep. Next.
Oh, sorry.
Next, yeah. And then my last slide, try to get your employees involved in community engagement. Sometimes it's nice to do stuff outside the office. This is a picture of my family doing a road cleanup in Nassau County. Try to get with your local nonprofits on doing road cleanups or doing, donating materials and time to other community programs. And then lastly, check your any corporate websites if you want a good place to start. But again, get with your sustainability coaches. This one was from Georgia Tech a couple years ago. Lots of information on these, corporation sustainability websites on things that they're doing.
Very cool. This last slide here was the same slide, the last summary slide that Mary went through, and I think it kind of sums up both Mary and Ashley's presentations to kind of remind everybody where to start. So I think between Ashley and Mary, we got some really good ideas of what to do. I think this summary here of creating a plan is the first step. So with that, I am going to open up, since we only have a few minutes left, for discussion. So this is where the audience comes in. We have a nice audience today. Does anybody want to start? Go ahead and just raise your hand, or in the interest of time, go ahead and just unmute yourself. And as long as we're not talking over each other, you can go ahead and speak.
Christine?
Yep.
All of these things are so great as far as sustainability and the environment, but I just am posting now also something along the lines of Food Waste Prevention Week coming up in Florida, and an opportunity for people to be aware of that.
Okay,
It's
excellent.
another way to save our planet and help the environment, sustainability, and food waste prevention.
Yeah, I think food waste is the #1 thing in the landfill, right?
Right.
Yep.
So this is, I just
Vicki,
came off of
thanks.
webinar. Sorry,
Yeah,
Mary.
Thank you for bringing that up. That actually is, again, one of those things that we look at that has kind of some multiple benefits. So, again, we have, remember that you can actually do composting at your office or at home, and they'll pick up for you. And I know there's, we're working on a commercial composting facility here that hopefully will be up and running soon, which is a huge game changer for commercial, and it does reduce emissions as well as help the environment and other things. So that's one of those great tips. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think this is unfortunately, we ran out of time. It's already, believe it or not, 2:31. So I know that this is a quick, short meeting. I think there's a lot to discuss here. And Ashley and Mary, I say maybe we even have a follow-up to this as another Tuesday at 2 to kind of dive into these maybe a little bit more in depth. If you do have questions, please go ahead and put them into the chat, but we are at time, and make sure that you are saving the information in the chat also. If you want to do any follow-ups, I know that Ashley and Mary are both available to chat with people. So you can reach out to either one of them if you're looking for a sustainability coach of your own. But I want to thank you both for wonderful information. I think we've got a really good place to start with all of that. So thank you. And with that, I guess very quickly, the last thing is if everybody could just type into the chat box what your Tuesday takeaway was, if you still have time. And Mary and Ashley, if you have time, can you tell us what your Tuesday takeaway was from the presentation today?
I guess make sure you get with your sustainability coach on how to get those plans put together for your business.
Great takeaway, yes.
I would just say the takeaway is it's obviously a huge topic and there's a lot of customization that has to happen with individuals. So yeah, so kind of piggybacking on what Ashley said, and thank you guys for joining us. Let us know how we can help you.
Yep. Thank you, Mary.
I would say North Florida Green Chamber of Commerce resources.
We do have a lot of resources, and Mary touched on them briefly. We did not have time to go through them in depth, but if you check in for our future Tuesdays at 2, a lot of time we feature or highlight one benefit at a time. So you'll get to hear a little bit more, including our solar collective. I know somebody just had a question about solar. If Mary and Ashley, if you could check the chat box, I think you might get some questions here. Somebody asked about your experience with solar. I would say,
so yeah, if somebody wants to, I mean, we do have the solar collective, and you know, I have solar here at our office that we've had for about 10 years. Obviously things have dramatically improved on efficiency on solar, and the cost is much more affordable. And I think Ashley would probably agree that we always try to get people to make their building envelope as efficient as possible first, and then that makes solar even more affordable and effective for you. But we have resources for that too. We have some members that who can provide that if you're interested in it.
Yeah, no, I've got solar on our house, and I know the biggest thing, make sure you're you know, shopping around, make sure you're also go with a reliable company, and you know, get other people's experiences on what works best. And solar is, I must say, it's not for everybody. It depends on where you live. You know, if you're having to take down a ton of trees, you know, sometimes your orientation or your, you know, wherever you are, it depends. So every situation is different, but definitely reach out if you want to get an evaluation.
yep. And to close that out, I would just say that if you're not a Green Chamber member, by joining the Green Chamber, you have access to talk to a sustainability coach. You also have access to our resources, like somebody, Vicki mentioned. Our member benefits are on our website. Our solar collective is actually open to the public, so check it out if you have questions specifically about solar. But there's other member benefits that can help you be more sustainable, such as our buyers club. So check it out. And with that, I'm going to close it out because we are 5 minutes over time. So thank you both again so much. This was wonderful. And I hope everybody's got their plans ready to get started to be green in 2021. Thank you everybody for joining. And next week's Tuesday at 2, we have rethreaded. So definitely a topic you don't want to miss. So please check back in next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.